Hey, Tony.
Hello, Coach.
Let me know when James is on.
He's on, sir.
Hi, James.
Hey, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to coming to your house in a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be fun. We're looking forward to it, too.
Patrick just raved. No, it wasn't Patrick as much. It was Alicia. They all loved it, of course, but Alicia was. I think Patrick went, uh-oh.
Yep. I talked to him afterwards. So
Yeah. Family. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. And it's great. I talked to Joe yesterday about the force multipliers. He talked to you about it?
He told me that you guys talked about it. We hadn't had a chance to talk about it, but I'm going to have him do a training on it.
Yeah, he really enlightened me and gave me examples in football that you would relate to a great deal.
Uh-huh.
And really, and that's why I sent that email out to you. It's kind of what I got out of it. But we might do a Centric Club on it and have him on it to explain it. But,
okay. Yes, sir. I like I told he just briefly told me this morning, and I told him that I hadn't got a chance to read it, but just hearing you talk about it and knowing Joe, I'm sure it's great information.
Yeah. So beautiful out here now, James. Oof.
Man, I always see you out there. I'm like, man.
Got a cloud in the sky, and the lake is hardly a ripple. This is heaven right now. Carol and I are both in heaven, and we love coming here waking up every day in this place. But well, good morning, everyone. Today is going to be I think a watershed, if we ever understand what that word means, iconic Century Club. We have James Watkins on the call, and we're going to be going through some book that he just finished reading with his folks and going through that Art gave us in 1984. We were at Boca Raton, Florida, and Bob Turley had come across this book, and there were like 600 people, and everyone got a copy. And it's been the bedrock of our belief system ever since Art first got in the industry. This book just kind of went through the minutia of what Art understood, and basically it was a book Art could have written, but this guy did. And before we start that, though, I've been taking some notes, and let me read this to you. I want you to take inventory of where you are in your financial independence journey, your time here. Take inventory. Is this where you thought you would be by now? And are you on the path that you started on when you first started, or have you veered? Remember in the book, Outwitting the Devil, and drifting is the cause of all problems. I don't know how I got to where I am. I don't know why I drift. I don't know how I lost this. Whenever James, I went out there and did talks on this basic stuff, people say, listen, this is where I started. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to get out of it. No one talks like this anymore. And my heart breaks, James, because we all should be talking like this. Again, we need to reassess and recommit to the financial independence system that Art Williams created. That is evident in this book here, the Locker Room Notes, and the A. Williams Way. Do you even need this book? Because he wrote it. He didn't build it for people that said, I just want to be a lifetime salesman. I just want 2 or 3 people and help them get licensed and help them make a bunch of sales. This was written for people who have big dreams, big goals, big aspirations. And so, James, before we even start, what do you think people are going to get out of today's, before we even mention the book that they can order? Obviously, it's online. What do you think people are going to get today? Give us a synopsis of what you think they're going to get today out of today's Zoom call.
I think they're going to get the end. I think they're going to know finally what, how to end up. Like, you got to begin with the end in mind. And I think for most of us, we saw Primerica when we saw the passive income that was possible, the lifestyle that we could build and receive passive income and overrides, but we got into the sales business. So I think one of the things for sure that this call is going to help you get out of it is that you're going to get why you, if you hadn't gotten it yet, why you hadn't gotten there yet, and how to correct those things and your thinking to get you what you see. I guess my best example, Coach, is I've always been fortunate enough to have you. So, I mean, I seen you come to the office, 8:30 and be gone by 1:30 and have to worry about traffic. I seen you, not having to worry about working on Fridays. I seen you living a dream, right? And, because it had been built. But what I had learned and what I was doing and what I had gotten from multiple voices was not, the things I needed to have to get me where you were, which was that end result. This book right here is going to give you clarity to have a lifestyle like Bill Orender, like Mike Sharp, like a Hector Lamarck. This is the key. This is what Art was talking about.
And, I love the way you said, you'll know finally.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're going to put it all out there. It's not anything that people haven't heard before, but I love the delivery of it and the words he uses. So, Tony, why don't you show us the copy of that book that James is talking about? And this is called, we're going to go through the highlights. It's called the 45-second presentation. You can order it, James, online on Amazon.com. Right there, Tony just put it out there. The 45-second presentation is very small and it's very rough. It's not polished, right? The figures in it are stick figures almost. But why don't we start with that, James? And you just finished going. How many times have you read this book? Because I've got it.
This was my 4th time reading it, but it was my first time I read it with my team, with the team and leaders. And I got to say, I got more out of it this time. I think the first time I read it, kind of just to get through it because somebody told me to read it. And then maybe the second time I was trying to read it because I was trying to figure out what I didn't understand the first time. But this time, having to teach it, like you've always said, what sticks to you, what goes through you sticks to you. And so we were teaching each other, reading it, sharing what we grasped from it. It really made a huge impact and stuck with me this time. I said, okay, yep. So,
James, I think that the reason that you read this book and it stuck this time, because you wanted to accelerate your income to $1 million a year. Let's start there. A passive income, $1 million a year passive income. Let's start there, James. You've got to want to have fortune here. You want to be wealthy here. You want to have 7 RVPs who have 7. Talk about that, James. And that's the starting point. And if you don't have that, this is just a nice little book, but you're going to go back to what you've been doing for the last 5 years. Most people are. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, exactly. I think you are right. When you are thinking about, building something, it's like, I read a book called U Squared, basically, and U Squared is talking about, like everything you need to get to where you're going to, it's already inside of you. The universe has already put things in place, but if you're not looking for it, you don't recognize it. So because I have the goal to build a $1 million a year passive income, then, all the tools, I already had this book. Actually, I had about 5 copies of it, Coach. I probably gave 3 of them away, but I have plenty. It's already been sitting here on my shelf. But when you set the goal, then the universe, or God goes into putting things in place for you to make it all come to fruition. It's like they say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Like even I hear you did, huh?
Well, the book appears.
Yes, the book appears. It's funny because, when you start reading something and you start thinking on that level, I hear you differently, things that you say. I watch Art's videos, and I hear Art completely different than what I did a month ago. So I think, it starts with that goal. Go ahead, Coach.
I think you just set us up perfectly, James, and I love your mental mindset. So Tony, thanks, Tony, for creating this PowerPoint. And so let's go through it. First one, please. Developing a multiplication attitude, not create a salesperson attitude. What do you mean by that? We're going to go through every one of these, and we might take two centric gloves, but we want to get it. So explain the first one, James.
Well, develop a multiplication attitude, not create a salesperson attitude, which is a multiplication attitude is how many others can I recruit or sponsor and to get them to teach what just simple basic concepts over and over and over again, to get them to share with people that they know and they care about. I think a salesperson's attitude is, the salesperson really doesn't care about how many people, you can duplicate yourself into. It's like, how much money can I make? How many people can I get to buy this thing? But we're going to see it later. It's the next one right here. We're teachers of multiplication, not sales. See here, you don't have to be great at sales, but you do have to be a good teacher. You have to be able to teach somebody else a simple process whereby, they get other people involved. I think that's what that's saying there, Coach.
One of the things that I don't have it on here, I took it out because there's so much to give, and it said, would you rather have 10 salespeople you recruit this month or 10 teachers from the Dallas Independent School District? Talk about that, James, and how we rarely, if ever, hire salespeople, and why they have a hard time getting it.
Salespeople have a hard time getting it because I think, number one, this is my opinion, I think because when they get frustrated working with people, and when people don't get it or don't move the way they feel like they should, a salesman, like any big self-employed person says, I'll just go do it on my own. I can go make this happen on my own. Let me go out. If it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm going to go do it all. I don't want to teach anybody else. And so the key to this thing is the ability, when we can get a large group of people to consistently just do a few simple things over and over, that's the secret to the system that we have. If you look at anybody that got a big organization, I'm talking about 6 generations or RVPs or more, they've only taught people a few simple things, and that's created the wealth and the legacy that they built. That was Art's key. Art, he said it in 2005. I was not ready for it. The first time I got to hear him, he said, look, our system is you hire your best friend, right? He sets the appointment. Why? Because that's his best friend. You take him, and he went through his 9 steps, right? And James Watkins in 2005 heard him say, okay, now what's next though? But tell me what's the secret? Right? Is Art's ability to simplify the process. That's what got Art to, build the company the way he did, and to billionaire status. So I think that's why salespeople have a hard time, man. It's like this, our system, our model is so simple.
And we think salespeople are ideal, and they can come in and they'll make sales, but salesmen are just a season of their life. Salesmen wear out, salesmen burn out. Talk about this next one, which is a revelation that And how did this hit you when you saw this next one? Only 5% are sales type, 95% are not. What did this teach you, James?
That hit me real hard, especially yesterday, because you're absolutely right. When we talk to people, the first thing people say is, well, I'm not a salesperson. That's like one of the most common objections that we get, because most people never wake up saying, hey, I want to sell life insurance. I did not grow up saying, you know what, man, I can't wait to go get my life insurance license, go get me an investment license. I never saw myself doing that. But what I got attracted to was having a big organization of people. And I was like, I can build an organization and I can build this income. So that's why Art says that, you know, nobody wants to sell, but everybody wants to override. Everybody wants to be an overrider. You know, it's so funny. I was talking to one of my teammates before this call about an hour ago, and she's a police officer. And I had to, you know, she hadn't done anything in a while, but her and I were talking about where her future was, and she was like, yeah, James, you know, I want to get it going again. You know, I just, you know, I got this going on, I got that, and you know, I had to tell her. I said, I'm not talking to you about coming to sell. I'm talking to you about you working with me, so we build you something where you can retire and have passive income in the next 1 to 3 years. So she perked up on that. Coach, what is that? Which let me know, Coach, I've been talking to her about sales. I'm talking to her the typical primary guy. You go out there, you go write, you know, this amount of premium, you go do this. Nobody sees themselves doing that for a long period of time, and they don't want to do it. You know, but you know, they'll engage you in the conversation if you talk about, man, we go build something for you that's go work without you and give you a passive income, and you'll be done in the next 1 to 3 years. And that's what he talks about in this book. You said it before. I'm sorry, Coach, but you said it before multiple times. You said we get so impressed by all these people that's exploding their income when they should be impressed with the system we have involved. Art, he found the best system to grow a business in the best industry known to mankind. And we should not be shocked. We should, you know, I'm kicking myself because I'm like, man, I mean, I should have been way further ahead than where I am now. And so, like the guy says in the book, you know, you can count your period in this business when you figured out what it is that you're doing. So I feel like, you know, man, I may have 1 or 2 good years in Primerica right now, but I'm in recovery.
You know, the next one, James, only 8% of people are interested in financial anythings. And Art Williams said, nobody wants to sell anything to anybody, especially life insurance. That kind of sums this up, how few people want to sell anything, especially people are not interested in financial concepts. Like I'm not interested in car repair and how to fix things or how to fix things around the house. My favorite store is not Home Depot. And so we tend to think because we love it, they love it. And how does that hurt us or help us, James?
Yeah, I think you said it all right there. I mean, you know, I've spent years and years and years understanding all this financial things that I've learned only to understand. My clients didn't really care about that or learn. My clients didn't really care about that. They just wanted to know, you know, am I going to get what they want? Which, you know, in the investment world, they wanted to know, am I going to make them some money? In the insurance world, if I'm died, are you going to bring a check to my family? They didn't care so much about how things work, the nuts and bolts, the mechanics. And as you said before, you know, people don't care about the drill. They want the hole. They want the hole. Yeah, absolutely.
And again, I didn't come to this business in love with overriding people because I didn't know you could. Took me years to figure that out, that I could have a passive income. And it's amazing how many people in Primerica today are afraid to talk to people about that because they're ashamed of it. Mention that for a second, James, and I think it's very important. There's a lot of shame going on with people not boldly expressing this to other people, our system.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you talk about shame, you talk about recruiting. People don't want to hear one of those, you know, are you one of those things? You one of those pyramids, so you kind of back off, right? And you start and you gravitate toward, you know, hey, well, I mean, I can offer you this mutual fund because they kind of somewhat get that, that's acceptable or whatever. I don't think we understand. I mean, as just in general, people in general understand the power of passive and residual income. Because again, I know for me in my neighborhood, we didn't grow up talking about that. You know, we talked about, you know, you go to work, you make a living, you always did something for your money, right?
Right.
Like we said before, your money, you know, your money is, you know, what you did years ago, not what you're doing now. But we just come from that worker, employee, self-employed mindset that I go do this, you give me so many dollars. Nobody talked to me about passive income. Or I didn't understand it. When I was in the military, coach, you know, they said if I did 20 years, I get a pension check. But they didn't use, you know, words like, you know, passive or any, all the older guys kept telling me I'd sign up and all that. Well, I was 18, 19 years old. I was like, man, 20 years down the road, that's forever. I got time for that. But
Yeah.
you know, yep. Go ahead, coach.
I love that one chat. He said, we don't mind having other people override us. We have an issue with people us overriding other people. Talk about that insanity. But let's go to the next one. Why don't you read that, James, and comment on it?
Okay. It hadn't switched. Okay, there we go. You
Go
want that
back to
thing?
the next one. Go back. We didn't finish up that last one, Tony. Yeah, there
Oh,
we go.
the more we train on products, the less they do because nobody wants to sell anything to anybody. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think, you know, coach, you know, just as it says right there, first of all, the more we train on products, I think people get insecure that they know enough, or are they doing, you know, am I doing the right things? I don't know. I tell people all the time the kiss of death is when one of your guys say, oh man, you're so awesome. I could never be as good as you and understand how all these services work and all that other kind of stuff. And yeah, at the end of the day, nobody wants to be sitting across from somebody, you know, feeling like I'm convincing this person to buy something that they're not even 100% sure of themselves. You right? So it's just nobody wants to sell, and really nobody wants to be sold.
You know, I think so many of us think the more they know, the more they'll do. Again, we go
Right.
back to if I do this, then they'll do that. Talk about that, James. The more they know, the more they'll do. We live in a world of primerica fallacies, and we wonder why we're not getting it. Talk about that last one, James. And the more they know, they'll do.
Yeah, it's like anything else. The more information you have, you know, where you develop a paralysis of analysis. And I think that's what keeps some organizations or most organizations from really moving fast. If you look, I mean, if you look at the organizations that's moving quickly, I think in any market, you know, with our type of, any business in our type of system, it's the simplicity of everything that you have to have. So it's just like, all I know is I'm excited, I'm enthusiasm, and this bad boy is working. We just got to keep simple. Less is best. That has to be our philosophy as we build.
All right, next one, please. Tony, thank you. By the way, Tony, thanks so much for helping us out and doing this. You want their thinking to be going in the right direction from day one. And then next one is we are just like Match.com. I love this one because if you think about Match.com, they're an organization that puts two entities together, a man who wants to get married, a woman that wants to get married. They put them together and they receive a fee for doing it. If you take a look at what Virginia Carter did for me, and we do it from a client standpoint, I'll talk about that in a second. We put a client with Primerica products and we receive compensation. We're matching that client's desires for our products and the company's portfolio of products. We put it together. Same. Virginia Carter just introduced me to the A. Williams way, Art Williams system. She put us together. Interesting. And for that, she was paid over $20 million while she was alive. Talk about that, James, and how these two, we want their thinking to go. Their job is to put people with Primerica, not to train them on all this stuff. Talk about how it's a brilliant introduction system, not recruit them, introduce them.
Introduce them. Yeah, exactly. I,
Excellent.
the
Go
great
back
thing,
here.
Art said, Art Williams said, look, we got the two best things in the whole wide world. We got the best part-time opportunity that there is, right? And then we got the opportunity for you to become financially independent, by building a secure income and an unlimited income. So I joined to make part-time income. Honestly, if you would have talked to me about residual income and all these words I'm using today, $1 million earner, I would have been like, yeah, whatever. But what got me in the front door was they said I could make some part-time money. Again, employee mindset. So, okay, go make some part-time money. Then the system matched me with multiple leaders, including you, Coach, that introduced me to what really could be possible, all the possibilities. So I got introduced for one reason, but I stayed for another reason, if that makes sense. And that's the beauty of our system. Our job is really to introduce people wherever they are in life. Some guys come from a background where this is something they wanted to be in business all their lives. Not me. I wanted to be a football player or go to law school. That was it for me. But the reason why, Coach, when you analyze that, because I had people ask me before I got in business, why you want to play football? Because I wanted to make a lot of money. Why did I want to be a lawyer? I wanted to make a lot of money. I had a friend of mine that was a lawyer. She was older than me, one of my good friend's sister. And I called her up when I got introduced to Primerica. And I told her, hey, I'm thinking about, doing this business thing and, whatever. But I wanted to go to law school. I was supposed to start that fall. And she asked me, she said, well, James, why you want to go to law school? I said, I need to make a lot of money. And she said, well, just because you would get a law degree don't mean you go make a lot of money. You probably should try that business thing. And you could always go to law school if it don't work out. But my end game was always to make a lot of money. And so I got introduced or matched up to the right system that put me around the right type of people that was doing just that. That's our job.
And James, the next one is we're teachers. Like one guy said, Bill, I recruited a lot of people last month, and I know his background. And I said, oh boy. And he said, what's the matter? I said, I'm concerned about what you're going to do with them. And he got 0 recruits from all those people. And he was going to train them into being securities guys. And so talk about this, Jamin, how we're teachers. And what does that mean? Teach, you introduced 3. Talk about that.
Absolutely. First of all, field training is really field building. Now, if you like James Watkins, the old James Watkins, I used to think field training, you get them, you teach them, how to sell, how to explain the life insurance, how to do the F&A and all that kind of stuff. But you introduce 3 and then you teach them how to introduce 3 by recruiting 3 for them, and they're there watching. Or you teach them what they're doing. You teach them, you're field training them to get 3, they get 3, they get 3. You're making that happen for them. And so that's the system that Art got us into here, which was you doing it for them instead of, you teaching them how to go out here and sell.
We've already covered the next one, but why don't you read the last one, James, and comment on it?
We are not recruiting them into a direct sales organization. We are sponsoring them to a team building organization. That's powerful. I hadn't read that one before, but that is a very, very good. Kind of touched on that just now when I said you're not recruiting them to teach them to go out here and go knock on the doors and go talk to all their neighbors about just buying a product. You actually, you sell the product through building. See, all your teammates, that's why Coach is always talking about building with couples and married couples, because the product sells itself, because internal consumption, the people you're building with, they become clients. So it's through building where you're selling. Direct sales is I get my securities license. Sometimes, let's just be real. I got a client call me yesterday with $250,000, and she basically said, come and get the check. I went and got the check. I understood this is direct sales right here. I am not building right now. Okay, I'm direct selling. I went over there, I picked up the check. I ain't stupid. They paid me $6,000, right? But I came back home, got back on my computer, and I had probably, I don't know, 10 appointments yesterday with trainees that I was recruiting and building for. That's the beauty of our system. The beauty of our system is America's a cash cow. You make a ton of money, while you're building an organization. You got to have an income focus and an outcome focus as well. And that's what we're talking to you about today. What's the outcome? If you're 20 years, 30 years later, and you still got to go run the appointment and deliver the policy, and you got to, answer all the calls, you've been in direct sales. See, if you're doing
James,
this thing.
Comment, and then we'll go to the next one. I'm asking the people now, are you where you thought you'd be when you started this business? Or do you think you'd be further along? This corrects that, doesn't it, James?
Absolutely. This corrects it. I mean, man, I'm telling you, I'm going to read this book until I get to where I need to get to, just so I keep my mindset right. Because you're going to go to a meeting, you're going to get on a call, you're going to get on something, and they're going to get you excited and you're going to drift. I already know me. You're going to drift and say, oh man, you know what? I got it now. And 90 days later, you'll be out there, delivering all the policies and getting all excited about senior health care and all the money you can make on that and all that other kind of stuff. And next thing you know, 5 years gone by and you're still by yourself. So,
James, I made $27,000 last year on prepaid legal. That's laughable. Passive income. Next page, please. Why don't you read that, James?
To duplicate yourself, you must be 3 levels deep. You want to read it all?
What does that mean?
I'll read it all. Let me read it all right there. At three deep, the team will continue. Less than it is not a true leg. You have nothing until you're 3 deep. Until you're 3 deep, they will drop out. What does that mean? You got to have people underneath people. That's what locks people in. The sheer thought of having somebody under somebody gets them excited. You say, how do I get a guy licensed? Get him some people. How do I get a person to come to the next meeting? Get him a team of people that's going to be there, regardless. How do I get somebody to do anything? They got to have people up underneath them. That's what this whole page right here means. So depth is everything. That's the secret. I got off the call with a friend of mine, and we were talking about, her uplines hierarchy, Neil Gerfine. And she was telling me, if you really look, his whole hierarchy was built really through one leg and taking replacement. And that's the beauty of the system that we have here. Is depth. You find everything. All the gold is found down deep. They say, how far do I go, James? To China. You take this thing to China, right? Like Coach says, 4 deep, you find a stud. 8 deep, you find another stud. At 12 deep, you find another stud, right? All your leaders is found through depth.
Again, it's more important to go deep than wide. Now, explain that. Because you just said that's where it was, but most people, they recruit somebody, then they go get another one, then they go get another one, and they don't do anything with that recruit and drive it down. James, talk about how when you were like that, what was going through your head when you were like that?
Yeah, first, I never understood depth. I mean, honestly, I didn't. I had a couple of friends that had said to me, man, depth is the secret, James. I'm like, yeah, what's that mean? Depth is the secret. Depth is the secret. I'm like, okay. So anyway, I didn't get it, but recruiting is a sales process. So if you got to go hire directs all day, you're just a sales guy. You're just a salesman. You recruit somebody, then you take them out to see a few family members. You write a little, business because you're going out with them. Then they quit. Then you got to go do that over and over again. You got to go do that over and over again, month in, month out. I got another direct. I mean, actually, you should sprint wide, find somebody that you can explode deep with and, You'll be there. You can find depth. You can find width through depth if you do this thing right, because all your leaders are coming from depth. I had talked to Cheryl Bartlett one time, coach, and Cheryl said, James, this is when she came to the school for her. She's like, your whole job is to find leaders. She's got to find people like you. I thought, like me? Yeah, they show up. They got people with them. They can do what you do. Sometimes, she said, there was times I was 30 something deep. There was a period of time in her business, she said she was 3 wide, about 30 deep in each one of those legs though.
In California, I know there was a lot of words come from California throughout the years. It's all with depth takes care of itself. Is that true, James? Does depth take care of itself?
I tried that plan for about 18, 19 years. I didn't get the $300,000 on that plan. So like I said, it didn't work for me. I mean, hey, so not that way.
All right, next one, Tony. All right, Kim, why don't you go through this, James? The 4 things you must do.
4 things you must do is get 3 directs, get them a direct time, get them 3, get them a direct. You're going 4 deep times 3, get them a direct times 3, and get at least 1. Keep going until you get 3, who get 3, who get 3 for the 9, 27, 81, 243, 729. But if you did it 5 times, 5, they had 25 by 125, 625, 3,125, that'd be even better. Those are the things that you got to do. You got to get 3, they get 3 to get 3. You get there faster if you ain't got 5. In this book, he talks about you need to find 5 serious people. And he defines what serious is in the book. So get the book.
Well,
those are
again,
people.
The way you get 5, you recruit 5 and go deep 4, and you find your 5.
Yep.
Art taught us that on page 7 of the locker room notes. 3 by 3 by 3. He stood up in front of 53,000 people in Atlanta, Georgia in 2011, said, here's what we did. And very few people want to be $1 million earners, so they didn't get it. You did, I did, and hopefully some people on this call will. Next one, please.
You got it. I'm gonna correct you on what you got it, coach. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. So we definitely working. So quit looking for people that want to sell. That's a huge one for me because I came in thinking sales. That's what we did, honestly. So I thought, man, if I found a guy that you get a guy give you a list. Yeah, he sells cars. This guy can sell anything to anybody. Blah blah blah. I mean, you almost want to run. You almost want to run from that. I have never had one of those guys work out, and they do come in business. It's so hard to, unteach them some of the things that they come in. They think, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it like that. Start looking for people who want to override and earn money without having to go to work every day. You said it, coach. I've heard it throughout the years, but we got to look for people that really, kind of lazy. That Huck Finn mentality where. Yeah, I'm gonna get somebody else to do all the work. I'm gonna go get it started, but I'm gonna eventually find some people to do all the work and get this thing over with.
James, I talked a lot in my seminar, Multiple Fast Start Tool, about being in Colorado, atop of a mountain in the wintertime, and your job is to build a snowball, and then get it to the edge and let the power of gravity and nature take over, where by the time it gets to the bottom of the hill, it could destroy a city. And that's all, we got to get it going. And then now, like you, I have no effect about what you're doing day to day, and your hierarchy is growing and your income is growing and you're recruiting more people. But I just got the snowball started with you. And then I went out and got another snowball and see what happened. Talk about that, James. Let the system and the power of geometric progression work for you. Most people are not willing to let that power work. want to do all the work. This is very critical.
I think the best way I could point that out to all of our teammates here is, I've thought about this many times. I don't remember the exact year. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think somewhere in 72, 73, something like that, you guys got started. What year did you get started with art, Coach?
74.
74. Okay, I was born in 73. Okay. Now think about that. This blows me away every time I was born in 73. You know, we're in Atlanta, or when you got started and all those things like that, ended up coming to Dallas, Texas. In 1998, the system, what you started in 74, when I was a kid growing up, with football dreams and all these things like that, all this stuff was going on through the 80s. They talk about we won the national championship and 84 and all this stuff. I was like, yeah, okay. I was like in the 8th grade that year. All this stuff was going on. And then in 1998, in Muncie, Indiana, those efforts found me. You didn't call me, Coach. I didn't know you personally. You did a meeting in LaPorte, Indiana, somewhere around 1999. That was my first time hearing you. And you talked about Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then the system found me and the light bulb went off. And it blows me away that, my children have been affected by you. And we've been a lifetime business that's going to pay your family and my family for more generations to come. And all that started in 1974. So
Again, like Virginia covered, she started 2 years prior to me, found me. I made her 20 million. I was a snowball. She got started. Literally after 6 weeks, James, she left me alone. And I'm happy about that. I didn't want to sell. I wanted to override. Took me a while to get it. But where else can you go? Where else on this planet can you go to get geometric progression and compounding of people? And people in Primerica today are obstinate to even use our system. They're rebelling. No, hell no. I'm not going to do it. Yet 10 years later, thinking, I don't want to have to sell for the rest of my life. So anyway, next one, please. Go through all this, James, and this is off in the 45-second presentation book.
Yep, digging down to bedrock, 4 deep, digging down to bedrock, eliminates the discouragement of the new person.
Let me stop you right there, James. Talk about a building like he talks about, how when you see a building in downtown, any place starting to go up, they have to go down first. They keep going down and going down. What's bedrock?
Well, I'm not a geologist, but I know the thing a story that from the book that always impressed me was in the beginning, you just see a big old hole in the ground. And for years you go by as these buildings are being built and you just see this hole and it looks like nothing's happening. That's because they're working deep to get to bedrock where the foundation can be laid solidly. And then after that, these big skyscrapers here, once they reach bedrock, you just see everything shoot up. It's like the iceberg. When you look at the picture of the iceberg, you see the tip of it coming out of the water. But then if you look underneath of the water, there's so much more going on. I wish I had a picture on it. If there's so much more that's going on underneath that's creating what you see up top, that's what he's talking about right there. So you gotta go dig deep. No, it might not look like it's working, but man, if you got people coming under people, you explode it. And we've seen that in Primerica, especially these last year or two through the Zoom era. You've seen people like you never heard of before, coming from nowhere. Mario Arizona. We heard of Mario, but he went from he got like 70 RVPs now, and his organization is just growing like crazy. We got example after example like that right now happening in Primerica, but that's all coming through depth. And
he was 4 deep. He was found at 4 deep. If it hadn't gone to 4 deep, never would have gotten him.
Right. I think he's like the 500 or 600 person or something like that recruited that year. I
600.
mean,
600.
600. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yes.
All right, keep
And-
going, James.
Okay, say a leg is not a leg until it's 4 deep. At 3 each, with 4 deep, you're constructing or building a team for them, not they construct for you. Like, this is another one of those things that just got me. It's like, I do it, I make it happen until it can't be done. Art Williams said, you got to do it, and you got to do it until you can't do anymore. You do it for them. Again, my mindset was I recruit you, I tell you once, maybe twice, and then you just go do what I showed you to go do, right? Especially with our personalities, right? A lot of our RVP personalities, we expect, okay, I told you once, because that's what somebody did with me, and I actually went out and did what they told me to do. And you think that first person you recruited, because you're going wide, you think everybody is like that. No, you're digging down deep until you find that leader like you. It's coming through depth.
All right, a leg is not a leg until it's 4 deep at 3 each. James,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could. I'm sorry. It was a
Go
little
back
bit
to
late.
the other one, Tony. Let me finish that. We're going to finish here at this page, and we're going to continue it next week. So finish this page, and I'll ask you some questions.
Okay. A leg is not a leg until it's 4 deep at 3 each. Meaning, you, right? And then 3 down. He talked about 3 deep down there. There, like I said, you're finding that stud there. But I really like Coach more so when you talk about, you probably need to go to 8 to 12 deep. I want to stack the odds in my favor. That's my mindset. I'm like, at 4 deep, stud, 8 deep, double stud, right? 12 deep, triple stud. Let's just put the odds in our favor. I think we got to have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, not just A and B, right? With 4 deep, you're constructing or building a team. Again, I just said this for them. Like, you're doing it. You're working deep. They say all the fame is in the base shop, but the wealth is in building a hierarchy. Okay, so it's like, oh, well, I went and closed 30,000 a personal premium. Kind of know some people like that. I went and did 25,000, 30,000 a personal premium. Great for you. Hey, I went and built, 3 legs, 12 deep each. My people are winning everything. I got people. I'd rather have, a friend of mine told me, I'd rather have 100. If I had 100 people showing up, I know we go sell some life insurance.
There you go.
Coach, yeah. So if I got 100 people, I know somebody's selling some life insurance. We go sell some investments. My job is to get to 100 people. That's where my focus is.
Well, James, we're going to stop here, and I'm hoping some people get the book. And between now and next Tuesday, we're going to continue, if you can, to read the book, and then we're going to talk more about it and finish it up on these highlights. James, summarize what you think the people should get today in a few words, and then make some comments on our Money Quest show on Friday, and why when you put what we're talking about here with the Money Quest, the combination makes everything you said here valuable. Yeah,
I hope you got, really, man, that I think from the system that Art chose to build our business behind, anybody can do this. That was the whole purpose. If you can grasp the system where you go out and you recruit somebody and then you teach them how to sponsor, right? You teach them how to recruit, and you just did those simple things over and over, it creates a passive income for just about everybody. You don't have to be as good looking as, Coach Bill or Bill Whittle or anything. You ain't got to have their talents. We hear all these guys on the stage, it's real, polished and different things like that. But if you just go follow this system, I could tell you a bunch of guys. One of my friends and one of my heroes, I love his story, is a guy like Kim Carver. Kim making $500,000 a year. And I don't know the last time Kim, did an appointment, but man, his income is massive. He said, I was sitting in the McDonald's off of Spring Valley one time, and he had me talk to his team. I'm like, wait a minute, Kim, you're making $500,000 a year. He's just humble, kind of shy, introverted guy, system work for that guy? He ain't gonna have me. He can't even screw it up if he wanted to. This system is designed to create financially independent people if you just follow the system. And that's the 4D, 3x3. They get three, they get three. That's the system Art chose to build to build his company with. As far as the Money Quest, you were about to say
One
something.
second. Tony, can you pull that Money Quest PowerPoint up, and James talk about that and how it's important to be on this. So you need a system like we're talking about to make the money.
Yeah, these two guys right here, you know, I'm biased, of course. You know, they are both mentors of mine, Omar and Coach Bill. But I get so much listening to these guys talk about wealth creation. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've heard Bill say, you need to make $1 million so you can save 75% of it and live off of 25% of it. Well, that way of thinking, look, where I come from and people in my life don't think like that. So you tell me where else you can go in America today and have two multimillionaires, right? Teach you, spend an hour of their time investing in you to teach you how to think. So you need to be on the Money Quest show. Once these guys, you know, help you to get that goal and get the type of thinking, the desire that says, I need to make the kind of money they talk about to have the kind of lifestyle. You know, of course, I love Omar because Omar can tell you what everything costs. Then the system, then that makes you say, okay, the only way I could make that kind of money is to employ the system that we have, right? If I do the same things that those guys did, the same numbers, then I can have that lifestyle. Like, I just think this is probably the greatest secret in all of Primerica here. And I appreciate you and Omar. I can't tell you really enough because y'all definitely keep my head straight on a monthly basis of where I'm headed and the things I need to be doing and thinking to get there, man. The thing about it, Coach, is if y'all charge $10,000 to get there, honestly, more people would value the information they get from being in this thing right here. You know, this call right here should be totally sold out every month. Great call.
Read that book by Jen Sincero, You're a Badass at Making Money. Find out how much money she invested just to go to that school that changed her life. But it was huge.
$85,000.
$5,000 just because she was hungry, and it changed her life. Of course, ours is just turned into a Zoom call on Friday. James, thank you very much. This is powerful. If you can, let's do this again next week and finish it up. And I hope some of you go ahead and get the 45-second presentation book, because it'll change your life, combined with the locker room notes. Watch what can happen to your income and your life. God bless everyone. Have a great, safe week. Stay away from the crazies out there. All right, James. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.